Hello, my name is Carsen Brun. I am the president of the BridgeUSA chapter at Point Park University. Welcome to the Spring Semester 2023 Student Government Association debates. I'm here today with Trevor Fitzsimmons, the candidate for vice president. How's it going, Trevor?
Good.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself, give me your pronouns and your class ranking, school, and major?
All right. My name is Trevor Fitzsimmons. He, him pronouns. I'm a political science major, junior, and my school is in the School of Arts and Sciences.
What other activities, clubs or not, are you involved in outside of Student Government Association?
Outside the Student Government Association, I am the president and founder of Shalom, the student-run Jewish group here at Point Park, and I also host a radio show on WPPJ.
What are your past experiences with SGA?
Well, my past experiences were last year I was a senator in the Student Government Association, and I sat in the Senate and voted. And this year I am the current recording secretary of the Student Government Association.
What are your proudest moments and accomplishments?
My proudest moment in SGA would probably be last year when I was a senator, when I advocated strongly for the needs of students with accommodations and disabilities here.
Okay. And what made you want to run for SGA vice president?
I decided to run for SGA vice president because of my dedication and passion for this organization, of which I love being a part of, love working for, and my dedication to helping out the students and making Point Park just a better place overall.
What do you think it takes to be a good leader?
A good leader is willing to listen to those that they are in charge of. A good leader is willing to delegate tasks and is willing to know when they are right and know when they are wrong.
So what plans do you have to sort of increase the significance of your position to the student body?
Well, my plan is for increase the significance is to really anchor down on the internal issues within the SGA, like attendance. The vice president has the power to over committee attendance and over legislative body attendance. I feel that a lot of people either don't pay attention during our meetings, so I feel like that needs to be addressed first and foremost. And I also feel that not a lot of people show up to our meetings, so recruitment would definitely be somewhere up there, and just maintaining order throughout our legislative body meetings.
I've had the feeling, and I think a lot of people have too, that there's sort of a low morale on campus, and we've seen a lot of low engagement with student clubs and a low engagement overall with students being involved with things happening on the university. So what actions would you sort of perform to help boost that morale from within?
I would just try and listen to the students. I mean, there's probably a reason why not a lot of students are being involved this year. It might be a lack of activities of organizations. It might be a lot of coursework for students. I feel like just listening to the needs of the students on that issue would be very important and very helpful.
What plans, as a follow-up then, what plans would you have to sort of increase the sense of community on campus? Because I think that's also something that we're lacking a little bit.
Yes, we are lacking a sense of community here at Point Park. I feel like just finding something that we can all agree on as a campus and as a university, and just trying to work towards making it better than it was. Just improving something instead of complaining about something that is an issue.
You previously touched on the power of the vice president to maintain or to look over senator attendance. Mm-hmm. So what plans do you have to maintain the retention within your Senate?
Well, first and foremost, I will enforce strictly the internal suspension policy and our attendance policies as listed in the Constitution. There will be no leeway if a member does not have an excusable absence. The number of excusable absences allowed in the Constitution. I will put that policy into place. My predecessors have not been very keen on doing that, and I feel like that should be done. And as for committee attendance, I have the power to place senators on committees. If one committee is struggling, I will have no problem taking senators from a committee that is not struggling and placing them on the struggling committee.
What do you think are the top 3 issues that are facing Point Park students right now?
Transparency, number one. Students do not know what resources exist at this university. They do not know who to go to, who to talk to about certain issues. They don't know what they need for their classes. They basically don't know anything. And I feel like transparency is first and foremost the number one priority for this university. Sense of community, I feel like people aren't really proud to be Point Park students. We hear a lot of people complain about, how this and that is making it hard to be a student here at Point Park. We want people to enjoy their time as a student. And if that's talking to people to make something better or working on a specific issue, I am all for doing that. And the third would probably be accountability. Student organization leaders and university leaders need to be held accountable. If no accountability exists, change can't happen.
With the decision for the upcoming Point Park president still up in the air, many students, a lot of students are worried about the transition of power to the new administration. What relationship would you like to establish with the future president, and how do you plan on achieving that?
It's the SGA president, correct? Or is
The Point Park president.
the Point Park president?
Yes, my mistake.
Well, with the Point Park president, we'd like to first and foremost sit down, have a conversation. What does SGA want to get done? What do they, as the Point Park president, want to get done? And just talk things over. Try and tell them what the students want, listen to what they want, and try and find a compromise somewhere in the middle. I feel like going in hostile doesn't work, and going in just trying to serve the needs of the university president doesn't work as well. A compromise is needed.
Staying on the topic of the future Point Park president, how do you plan on handling disagreements with the administration?
Well, I plan on handling disagreements with by not being reactionary. Some of my predecessors have been somewhat reactionary. Some of the people in SGA have been reactionary. I feel like that a simple conversation could go a long way. I feel like that if we press on to the university president what the needs of the students are, then we can get done what the students want done.
What qualities do you possess that would make you better than last year's vice president?
Qualities that make me better than last year's vice president is I'm very well spoken. Not to say that last year's was not very well spoken. I just feel like I'm somewhat good at speaking in general. Anyways, for the other qualities, I feel like that I hold others and myself accountable. I feel like that didn't happen a lot last year. A lot of people weren't really held accountable last year, and to an extent this year, but it's gotten better this year, but people are still not being held accountable. So I feel like I do a very good job at doing that.
What is your plan to train your senators to be better representatives for the student body?
My plan is to go over with the senators day one what needs to be done in SGA, what their roles and responsibilities are. I'm not gonna just wait till a couple meetings in and explain to the senators. When I was a senator, I didn't know what my role was for weeks. I feel like that's not fair to the Senate. I feel like that they should know what their role is, know what their duties are. And that goes for everyone. I feel like everyone should know what their duties are in the student government so it runs more effectively.
So that's the one thing I respect about you, and I think a lot of people respect about you, is that you have a very strict approach. You're a no-nonsense guy. Are you worried about that more strict, like no-nonsense approach sort of scaring away students that would possibly want to join SGA in its current form, which, from what you've said, is a little more relaxed?
Well, I feel like that it might, but I feel like in its current form, we don't get much done. I mean, we barely vote on anything as it is because we barely have anyone to meet quorum. In our relaxed state, we've extended funding for the allocation period like a week or two after it's been supposed to be done because of a lack of quorum. That's concerning for the organizations and concerning for SGA. If SGA keeps being relaxed, eventually it'll cease to be even relaxed. It'll go down a spiral and probably not even exist. So I feel like for the future of SGA, it needs to be more like constitutional, more strict. There are certain provisions in our Constitution that SGA violates every day.
And what plans do you have to recruit new senators? Is there any plans for SGA to start doing more outreach in areas in collaborations with Campus Activities Board or with SAIL to make something like that happen?
Well, the SGA is always trying to collaborate with student organizations and clubs, different students. I feel like we should. There were a lot of ideas about that this year in our executive cabinet meetings, but I feel like a lot of those ideas really didn't like go anywhere. Like I feel like we should collaborate with more like student organizations, like possibly your organization or another organization, to try and engage students and try and see what's best for the students at this university.
How do you feel? So going back to the topic of the SGA president this time, how do you feel that you and your colleagues can work with the future SGA president to resolve internal and external issues?
Well, I feel like I could work with the SGA president very well. Both of the candidates I know very well, and I've been in SGA a very long time. But I will say this on the record that last year I said this: I will work with the president. I will not work for the president. I do not answer to the president. I will answer to the people. But I plan on maintaining a very healthy and respectful relationship with whoever the SGA president may be.
And if there are disagreements between yourself and that future president, how do you plan on holding them accountable and challenging them when they're wrong?
I will just sit down with them and talk to them about what the issue is. If it's a constitutional issue, I will go to the Constitution, point out specific provisions where they are wrong. I won't censure them, but I will point out, you are wrong here. If we don't fix this, then there might be an issue. I will try and be civil, but if that doesn't work, I will use the instruments of censure and, if in extreme cases, impeachment given to members of SGA in the Constitution.
And when working with that future president, what's a realistic goal that you think you can get done in your term?
A realistic goal, I think, is to try and get SGA's image and name out there. Just to try and get, a lot of students don't even know SGA exists. They don't even know what it stands for, Student Government Association. What I really want to get done is I want people to know SGA is there, know it exists, and know what resources it could provide its students.
So as a follow-up to that, there's a balance you'd have to strike between SGA putting its name out there and people knowing it exists, but also, I guess, without it sort of overreaching into the lives of students and almost, because if you'd hear about it all the time, it could get annoying for students to hear about. So what do you think that balance is, and how would you look for that?
I think the balance would be just trying to, like I said earlier, collaborating with student organizations with events. I mean, a lot of the popular events on campus, some of like the CAB events are very popular. Like the Covering Carnival was a very popular event. A lot of people show up to that. I feel like, and SGA has been doing this in recent years, is having a table at that event. And I feel like that's been very beneficial. Even if people don't sign up, they know that we exist. They know that we are there for the students and the organizations on campus. I feel like that's a realistic goal that I can get done in my term of office.
Describe or talk to me about a project that was not necessarily your own, but was implemented primarily because of your efforts in SGA, and what was your role in making that happen?
I would say, one of the things that I'd say like working on disability stuff. So it wasn't really, I brought it up, but I wouldn't say it's my concern alone, because a lot of students deal with the issue, and like we've discussed it in open floor in SGA, both when the OEI was being closed and even before then I brought it up, and now like other people within SGA are bringing it up. So I feel like just having the conversation about that and just trying to get things done on that end would probably be the answer to that.
What plans do you have to make sure that facilities in the school are going to continue to be accessible to all students? I guess that sort of pairs along with your idea that students need to know that those facilities actually exist
Yes.
and are available to them. But how do you plan on sort of holding them accountable, making sure they're working for everybody?
Well, I'll hold the university accountable, make sure that every student can access the buildings and the offices within the offices, classrooms, etc., that they need to access at this university. There's no excuse that a student would not be able to access a particular area of the university because of accessibility concerns. And if such instances exist, I will demand that the university be held accountable for that fault and demand that the issue be fixed.
And as a vice president, how will you work with the future president to sort of work towards a common initiative?
I will try and gauge to see what they want. This is the SGA president, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or also with the Point Park
Well,
president.
it works either way. Yeah. I will try and, like I said, sit down with them, try and see what they want to get done in the academic year, what I want to get done in the academic year, and what we can both get done for the students collectively in the academic year. And we know what our disagreements are, where our agreements are, and what we need to work on.
What are some ways that you believe in the vice president position you can be a better moderator for the faculty and staff and the student body, or between faculty and staff and the student body?
I believe I can be a moderator for the student body and the faculty and staff because the faculty and staff, as well as the students, they don't know anything. The students have issues with transparency. But I've also heard it from the faculty that issues of transparency exist. A lot of the same issues that the students have at this university are issues that the faculty at this university have as well. Only a very small number of people at this university don't have issues with things. And I would like to make that not the case. I don't want anyone to have any issues here. So I will advocate for the needs of both the faculty and the students.
So do you currently right now have any concrete plans, I guess sort of going along with the idea that SGA should collaborate more with clubs? Any like sort of concrete ideas on how you can increase that transparency and accountability between the university and its students?
Well, the multicultural fair is definitely a start. We've been working on that. We've invited a couple of organizations to participate. I'm not sure how it's going to go. There's been a lot of ups and downs in the planning of it, so we'll see this week when it goes on. But I feel like more events like where we invite clubs to what SGA puts on, or we could also co-sponsor as a student organization. We could co-sponsor an event with someone. I feel like that's something we could do. When we have our meetings pertaining to club funds, I feel like a representative from the club that we're voting on should be present. I mean, senators should be able to hear from the president of a new organization of what they want to do with their organization. Sometimes the constitutions of those organizations are vague and need explaining by the person that put it in place.
Is there any world in which you would work with SAIL to almost make that a requirement to get the funding? I don't mean to get too extreme with that, but I do agree that I think if more students, especially club representatives, went to the SGA legislative meetings to kind of see what's going on, do you think you would ever work to make that a requirement, or are there any incentives that you could give students to attend those meetings?
I'm not sure about incentives. I mean, we've tried. I think one time we had an ice cone machine. We tried to give out ice cones or whatnot, but it didn't really work out. I think that with the funding potential requirement, I think it's a possibility. I don't think it'd be done immediately or maybe even in my term of office, but it's worth considering and it is a possibility.
And what kind of tactics do you have or would you employ within SGA meetings to effectively take in senator input and then apply that to what's being done within SGA?
Simply listen to what the senators want done and try and implement it. I mean, I've been told, I don't know how many times, that the concerns I brought up in Ledge Body, at least last year, have been irrelevant or petty. I don't think a vice president should say that. I've been told by the vice president last year that those concerns were irrelevant and petty. And this year I haven't really said much because I've been typing minutes the whole meeting, but I feel like a lot of senators don't really feel empowered and know like what they want to get done or what to do. So I feel like just transparency within SGA would just be an overall thing, and respect for the senators. We have to respect the senators. The executive cabinet is not above the Senate. I mean, they should coexist. It shouldn't be one is here and one is here.
Right. And then can you give us a little closing statement here with your platform and everything you want people to know?
My closing statement would just be that I want a university where transparency, accountability, and responsibility exist. I want a university where students know what occurs at their university. Students know what resources to use. Students know where to go for assistance and how to ask, who to ask. And if the university doesn't want to give the students those resources, I believe SGA should step in and do it themselves. As for accountability, I feel like SGA student leaders should be held accountable, including myself. I feel like university leaders should be held accountable, and student organization leaders should be held accountable. I feel like if we don't hold our leaders accountable, nothing can get done. We just let things happen that shouldn't happen when we don't hold people accountable. And responsibility, I feel like there should be a sense of respect and professionalism, especially at SGA meetings. I've seen people on their phones in SGA meetings. I've seen people just like not really paying attention in SGA meetings. I don't like seeing that. I want people to be engaged in what we're talking about and what we're doing, because we're trying to help out the clubs and the students here at Point Park. And seeing people on their phones is really like upsetting. So I feel like as vice president, I would try and change that. And just I want to create a campus where everyone is everyone's voice is heard, and it's an equal and accessible place for everyone here at Point Park.
All right. Trevor Fitzsimmons, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll be right back with the presidential debates. Hello and welcome back to the Spring 2023 Student Government Association presidential debates. I'm your host, Carsen Brun, and I'm here with Frankie Bracey and Marc Palombo. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good, Carsen.
Okay, we'll start with Frankie, and then we'll go to Marc, and we'll alternate between those as we go through. Introduce yourself, give me your pronouns, your class ranking, your school, and your major.
All right, well, my name is Frankie Bracey. I'm a junior. I am a sports, arts, and entertainment management major. My pronouns are she. I don't know if I said that already. Oh, my God. And I'm in the School of Business. Pretty sure that was it.
You mentioned you're a junior?
Yeah, I'm a junior.
Okay, and Marc?
My name is Marc Palombo, he, him. I am a junior acting major, and I'm in COPA.
So now starting with Marc, what other activities are you involved in outside of SGA?
I would say the main activity would be chess club. I started chess club here at the beginning of the academic year, and it's been a lot of fun. I rallied a group of people together and found like-minded people that have enjoyed chess, and it's been a lot of fun to engage with other students and even other clubs to make chess fun and accessible to everyone.
Frankie, what about you?
Aside from SGA, I am a Pioneer Ambassador here on campus. I help with orientation. I'm also a tour guide. That's pretty much it, as I'm very much involved with all freshman stuff on campus. Yeah.
What past experience do you have with SGA?
So last year, I started as the vice chair of our student concerns. Then I ended up becoming the recording secretary, and within that, I worked on, obviously, Students Concern Committee, and I did an adjunct committee called Culinary. So with that, I had worked with Christy. She is the head of Culinary, and I basically helped created what we have today.
What are your proudest moments and accomplishments this year in SGA?
So actually this year I just started SGA at the beginning of this semester because our current chief of staff is our vice president. So not much has started, but I am planning this year's Pioneer Community Day, which is basically a day of giving back to the community here at Point Park and Pittsburgh as well. We're going to have a dunk tank with public safety in it, and that's going to be donations of clothing towards the local homeless shelter. And then we are raising money for a local EMT of one of our senators that has passed away in the line of duty.
Mark, what about you?
What I've done this year, or?
Yes, proudest moments and accomplishments this year in student government.
So I would say for this year, it would probably be working on the Covering Carnival event. I worked on that with Emily Vath, and that was a lot of fun. And then some changes in CAB happened, so I worked with some other people in CAB to get that event started. It was a lot of fun, and there was a lot of engagement with the students, and that's probably one of my main concerns, and more so just things for events in general, just to get people involved to come to these events. I'm kind of a two-parter, because I'm proud of like two things in this category. It's kind of still getting off the ground, but I'm starting a photography, more of like directory. I brought this up in Exec Hub a little bit, but it's more so a directory of photographers on campus, either that are in classes or that ones that have graduated, but the photographers that can help our actors, and just a directory of all of them, their prices, because sometimes actors have to go to these main big agencies and they're thousands of dollars. So instead of having those highly priced photographers, they can just come to our local students. And sometimes those photography students also need models for their classes, so it's kind of like a win-win for both. That's something that's kind of rolling right now.
What made you want to run for the Student Government Association president?
I wanted to run because I feel like there is a really big disconnect with the community here. I think the school spirit is at zero. I've been at Point Park since 2019, and this campus, from the beginning, always there was something just that felt off about it. And I know a major part of that is because we are in the city and we don't really have a rallying point for us. Our biggest areas are the theaters and the gymnasium. So more so creating a sense of community around here and getting students involved, as well as making sure they know what they have access to, because a lot of people at this university don't know what they have. So more so letting people know and getting them involved with other students on campus.
And what about you, Frankie?
Well, similar to what Mark said, definitely our community here on campus, it's not what it could be. It's not the potential of what I think either of us would want it to be. And no matter who gets in, I know that we're going to try our best to do it. I believe that when you look at other colleges, they have all these fun, big events that a lot of their students go to, and we don't have those. For example, if I was to get in, I would love to work on a homecoming for future years. I may not be able to do it next year, but if I could get it rolling and somebody take it over for me, that'd be great. Because we may not have a football team, but we have a soccer team, and our soccer team is around football time. So why don't we have a fun homecoming event that our students could go to? That's one thing that could help with school spirit. Right now, I know that ISLA is starting to do a fun little student section, but they did it for one game. That was the playoff game. Why can't we do a student section for every game, for soccer, for basketball? When volleyball has our events here, if you crowd that gym, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be so much fun. I think that our school spirit and our community is lacking a lot of things, and I would just hope to create that community that would keep everybody here and happy.
Mark, what do you think it takes to be a good leader, and how do you think good leaders can rise to the top at Point Park?
I think a good leader represents everybody, not just the one person, and stands for something. They believe in what they say, and if people could disagree, that is what a debate is. That is what discourse is. That's good. That's actually healthy. Being a leader means talking to people, being involved, listening. Sometimes the best thing to do is listen. Just stop talking. And a lot of these issues on campus, a lot of it can be solved by just listening. Listening what the students say, listening what the administration is saying, and make the administration listen to what the students are saying. I feel like that's one of the main things that I, kind of grew up on. My parents, I think, raised me well in a way that I listen very intently, to a lot of things. I don't always have to speak to let somebody else be heard.
Yeah.
You don't always have to be the biggest voice in the room to make a difference.
Frankie, what about you?
I believe that communication makes you a good leader. Not only that, but as Marc said, giving others the chance to do things. I think that there's too many people in this organization and in other organizations as well that take too much on personally and don't distribute that power or that opportunity to have others help. I think a good leader relies on teamwork just as much as communication, as well as just being there for the people who need it when they need it and backing them no matter what.
What plans do you have to increase the significance of not only the position of president, but also SGA in general to a wide range of students on campus?
I would love to work with other larger clubs on campus. I think that if SGA was to partner with CAB or SGA was to partner with ISLA or any of those big clubs on campus, that we would be able to get ourselves out there and known. I know right now what you did with the Covering Carnival, being that co-sponsor is something that we need to do to get our name out there. People don't know who SGA is. They don't know what it stands for. That's probably one thing that needs to be worked on. How we're going to do that is just getting ourselves out there and getting people to know us, whether it's through clubs or doing some big fun events.
Marc, what about you?
Yeah, Frankie said a lot of really good points. Specifically, nobody knows who SGA is. And we've also lost the trust of the students because they don't know who we are. I remember when I was in SGA 4 years ago, in 2019, there was a ton of senators. We had, I think, 30 senators working in the student government. However, even though we have senators, doesn't mean things get done all the time. And I've just seen that number dwindle each year. Now I know whenever Dennis McDermott, the president then, tried to rally, and every president tries to do their own thing to rally senators, but I've just seen a really stark decline of senators here. So I would say one of my main initiatives to bring people to know SGA and bring trust to it is creating or making sure they know who we are. So one, our social media, I don't think we've utilized that nearly enough. And I think if I'm elected, I would change the positions of our social media manager and make it a multi-role. So we have multiple people doing this because it's hard on just one person. We have great people doing the social media right now, but the people, it's only one person, or sometimes two. I say, why don't we open that up to everyone in the executive cabinet, or hell, maybe people in the centers that want to work on graphic design or have, initiatives or have passions in that type of thing. We get them involved in that, because if we just rally together and have a community, because this is something I've done with Chess Club, and I think that's why it's been so successful. We've posted very often. We keep engaging our members, and they come back. We've seen always a return of our members almost every meeting we have. We have a meeting every week on Mondays, and we always have at least 10 people nowadays, which is kind of unheard of in a lot of our clubs from Latinx or elsewhere. So just keeping a community and making sure we are utilizing our social media to our fullest extent, so people on campus know who we are and know that they can trust us in these times.
You both have previously touched on this, that we're lacking school spirit. I think a lot of students are mentally exhausted. I think the morale on campus is at a bit of a low point from what I've heard. What actions would you perform, starting with you, Marc, to sort of boost that morale from within the university?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. That's seriously one of the biggest issues we have here. Nobody wants, I don't even know how to say this. The students here don't feel like this is home to them. And that's what this should be. This should feel comforting. This should feel a place of learning, of making mistakes. So for school spirit, I would say we definitely need more events. But for even one thing, even when it's nice outside, why don't we start, having a projector outside, or put a movie night in Village Park, or having live shows, live events, maybe every Friday. We don't have a football team. You're right, like you said, and that is a big community builder around here. If we don't have that, we need something else. We have we have a Pioneer Records here. They're huge on campus. So why don't we utilize them? And we have artists all on campus wanting to show off their skills and showcase themselves. Why don't we have an event every week on Fridays in Village Park, in Point Park, utilizing some other areas of the school, and bring people together that way? I know we don't have that many spaces to bring people together, but if we can start doing that in a repeatable way, then it would start to create a sense of, hey, I saw you last week. Hey, it's good to see you here. It would create that sense of camaraderie.
Frankie, what about you?
What I mentioned earlier with the student section, I think that would be a great thing to start. Whatever ISLA did for that playoff game was amazing. When I went, I saw a lot of people there. So I would love to meet with ISLA, see what they have done, and if possible, maybe make it a SGA ISLA collaborative event that every game day we get a bunch of people to go over, because we do have shuttles that take our students over to CCAC and the Highmark Stadium. Why aren't they being utilized? Why aren't our students going to them? I get that maybe some classes coincide, but not every student is in classes, and not every student has something to do. They're in their room being bored. You made great points with Pioneer Records. I know that their karaoke events are very popular on campus. Very popular, but they're not on campus. Marc brought up the great points that we need to utilize Point Park more, and I definitely agree with that. I know during orientation week, we use Point Park as a venue. Why aren't we doing that now? You hold your chess things there.
Yes, we do.
So why is that the only thing being held in Point Park?
We do that every single Monday. And it's actually great because we get so much traction from that. I think that's why other people know chess club, is because they see us in Point Park getting coffee, or administration. I've seen faculty come down. They've taken pictures with us, So it's like we kind of just started it, and then a community was built around that. Off your point, even the parade that just happened. You see how many Point Park students were out there? That was probably the most I've ever seen. Why don't we utilize events that happen in the city, or stuff like that, or big events? Maybe, especially on our area, we're in Boulevard of the Allies. It's a very busy street. For parades and stuff like that, why don't we have events? I know it was cold, but we could possibly set up stands and stuff, or something else where we can, whenever students are out there, we can utilize them and build community that way as well.
On that topic, as a follow-up, we sort of touched on this, but if you have any other thoughts on any other plans to help increase that sense of community on campus, other than the stuff that we previously touched on? Or maybe as a different one, why do you think that sense of community went away?
Definitely because of our administration here. I think that it is more of a, people don't really know who anybody is, because we've gone through, 2 presidents since our freshman year?
Oh, more than
3
that.
presidents.
I think more, yeah.
I think that once we get the actual stability in our administration, and even a president that is more engaged in what we do on campus, that we would be able to create that sense of community again. I think that it was great that our current president did their pasta night with Dean Palo. I think that more events need to happen so that we could create that trust and build upon that to create that community that Marc and I both want.
Yeah, and I guess to follow up with you, what do you think, why do you think that sense of community went away, and is there anything else you wanted to touch on how we bring that back?
Yeah, I want to touch on the administration question, because, like you said, nobody knows who the administration is as well. That's not a sole thing. We just said earlier, nobody knows who SGA is. Nobody knows who the administration people are. Nobody knows much, because the communication is terrible. It's really bad. One thing might get sent in an email, and maybe that's it. So I mean, that's an issue. Specifically for administrations, why don't we have town halls, which we do have one planned, but more often, so we meet these board of trustees, we meet the interim president. I talked to the interim president a couple weeks ago when he stopped by chess club, and I saw him before that, and he seems open to a lot of ideas. Maybe because he's new. Either way, I don't care. That's good, so we can have a dialogue, So yeah.
In your opinion, what are the top 3 issues that are facing Point Park students right now?
I touched on them a little bit. One would definitely be school spirit again. Communication and accessibility. And what I mean by these are, especially for accessibility, making sure the needs of the students are met and making sure they can get, they know where to get those needs met. For example, this is an initiative that I'm currently trying to start here. It's going along the line of QR codes. I'm trying to create this QR code where in the Students Innovation Committee, where we started this a little bit, where all of the needs of our students will be put there. I mean, yes, you could probably find them on the website, but I want to make this easier to access. So let's have these on doors, these QR codes on doors in the lobbies, on the TV banks in West Penn, in Thayer, in Lawrence, and let's get, and on the QR code would be a list of needs, your accessibility needs, how to start a club. Yes, you come to SGA, but not everyone knows that. How to start, anything around here. How, where to go for getting your career started. We have a career ready center, yes. Just having a list of things, even a search bar at the top, where people can search things, and whenever, even for freshmen, whenever I've had freshmen come and be like, hey, where is this, or ask for advice or something, it's hard to tell them where to go on the website all the time. If we had just a QR code, boom, right there on the door, in the hallways, they could just scan that and have all of the information they would need, especially a first-time freshman or somebody coming in for the first time. That would have been so nice to have and made me feel way more at home, knowing that I have everything I need right here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I still don't know where to go for some things, and
I agree.
I don't either.
Look! Even the studio that that you use for your podcast, I bet half the people watching this right now don't even know that we right now, ever since the CMI moved, we have another
a media
hub for podcasts. I don't know how many of you knew that, but we have one on 3rd Ave.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it was sent in 1 or 2 emails. That was it. We need to market that. Even as SGA, I would market that, or just anything that happens. If the administration and the school isn't going to do it in certain areas, we have to. We have to, or students are not going to know that we have these resources for them to utilize.
With so you briefly talked about meeting the previous president. With the upcoming decision for the Point Park president still being up in the air, there are some students that are worried about that transition of power within the university. What relationship would you like to establish with the future president? Who answered the last question? Okay, Frankie. You'd be up then. What relationship do you want to establish with the future Point Park president?
Like current interim about to be or
the
like
interim?
You mean
Yeah.
like if SGA was to get a new president?
No, the interim Point Park president, if he would become the new permanent filling that role.
Honestly, I think we could use this to our advantage because he's fresh, he's new, he wants new ideas. We're going to be fresh, we're going to be new, and we have the ideas. I think that we would be able to meet with him and talk about our bigger initiatives that we want to accomplish and go over. And I'm sure he would definitely jump on board with that. I understand that there's some controversy and whatnot with him, but honestly, when it comes to that, sometimes you have to separate business and politics because that's the only way things are going to get done. So if that means that whatever he's done, I got to put aside just so that I can better this place for our student body, then so be it. I'm not going to hold grudges against anybody. I'm not going to make a judgment just because of what I read. Personally, I need to meet someone and I need to make my own judgment on somebody from a conversation with them as opposed to, just hearing something and automatically saying, oh, I don't like that person. Yeah.
This is potentially a tough question, so everybody buckle up here. What qualities do you possess that make you better than this year's president? what are some character challenges that you saw in this year's president, and how will you be different? So if you could, and also I guess on top of that, one thing about the current president that you like, and one thing that you don't like as much.
Okay. I would say a quality that I possess that's different than our current president of SGA, right?
Yes.
I would say that I would be more outspoken than Kendra has been, and just be more willing to talk to the students and be at more events as much as I can. I know Kendra is busy and we're all busy, but I would try my best to be vocal and really talk to these organizations. You know, actually, what's interesting, Jake Berlin, who was a former president a long time ago, it's funny what he did, but it worked. He got up in Village Park and he spoke with a megaphone and said, join SGA, join student government. And he got a bunch of people to join. I mean, it's true. So just outreach, and I would do that. You know, I have no problem with that. Doesn't matter to me.
So we could get you a megaphone.
Easy,
Somebody
Carson. Easy, Carson.
work on getting this guy a megaphone.
Marc,
We'll get
I
him
don't
in
think
Village
you need
Park.
a megaphone.
I don't think so either.
might
You know what?
This guy might not need one.
We could have one though. Let's get the whole exec cab on there on Village Park around the side.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
with signs and stuff. But being serious though, I mean, I really believe that like that is just like stuff like that is a community builder like that for those kind of things. What was the other question?
Just as a follow-up, like you kind of talked about this, like what's one thing about the current president that you like a lot, and one thing you don't like as much?
I like that Kendra is a really big listener. Kendra very much listens to your concerns and is also bold. Kendra's very bold and in what she believes in, and I very much respect that from her. And I've learned a lot from her in our exec cabinet, in our student, in our personally and professionally. And it's been very nice to work with her. As for something that I don't like about her, I mean, I guess for certain ideas that she's been proposing, I think would have been nice to be more clear and either through Slack or just to be heard overall. I know that she was working on the University 101 class. That's kind of all I really remember right now of Kendra of doing some of that stuff. So maybe just more transparency that way, just so we can clearly know what's everyone doing.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat any of the questions, because it's been a little bit since I asked them?
Let me. We're gonna do them in two parts. Let me get the first part of the question, please.
Okay. What qualities do you possess that make you better than this year's president? In other words, what are some of the character challenges that you saw, and how would you be different?
I definitely think one thing that I possess that Kendra may not have. I feel like she's just a tiny bit disorganized. I feel like she has things like everywhere, and she has so many things that she wants to do and like to happen that, no offense, Kendra, they might not all get done. I think that we need to take one main big initiative and work on it. I love the idea. I do love the idea of having an initiative for every single school on campus.
That's what we currently have, yeah.
But
like what we're trying to do.
With the time that we have left, I don't know if we're going to be able to get it done. I think that maybe if we came up with this idea last semester and we had a little bit more time to work on it, we'd be able to get it done.
Just really quick, I totally agree with you. I do like it though that we did start something like a foundation.
Yeah.
So like you're right, we probably are not going to get these initiatives done, but it's like a start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
And then as the second part of the question, and you sort of did touch on that, like one thing that would make you better than this current president, but what's one thing about Kendra that you do like, and one thing that you don't like as much?
I absolutely love the independence that she has. I think that she is definitely a strong person for everybody to look up to. When Kendra has her mind set on something, she will get it done no matter what. This City University Life Initiative, and then the COPA initiative that she has, I know she's going to get that done. I know she will. She is a hard-headed woman, and I definitely appreciate that. I love seeing the women that are like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it until it's done. That kind of roughly how do I want to say this? Damn, it's awkward. What's what I'm looking for? Contradicted myself there. I kind of contradicted myself there a little bit with the initiative thing, but yeah, that's something that I definitely appreciate about her. Something that I don't really like about Kendra.
It's okay. It's a trick question.
Yeah, I don't know how to word that. Like, I don't want to be mean. Like, I don't want it to sound rude or anything.
No, you won't. You know, there's. I think if she's listening, she knows that there's no ill will between you two.
Yeah, definitely. Kendra, I do love you. I think that there's sometimes. Last year, there was a little bit of an abuse of power in a way. And I don't want to say that it happened this year. I think she was very well this year, but last year, there definitely was an abuse of power that probably could have been avoided if she just sat down and listened. But she was more of the like, this is what you can't do. You shouldn't have done that. You're not going to do it again. And yeah, pretty much it. Sorry, Kendra.
Okay. We'll go back to Marc. How will you train your senators to be a better representative for the student body?
So we only have a few senators right now. However, I assume you mean while we also bring more senators in?
Yes, and actually, not to jump to a different question, but it's something I talked to Trevor about is what plans would you have for increasing the outreach of SGA to bring in new senators?
Absolutely. I spoke on this a little earlier,
You did.
but social media. It's huge. It's funny, but the Jake Berlin idea. It's funny, but it's even like especially whenever the year starts. That's when most people are outside. Whenever most people are outside, most people are engaged. Emails, they don't work. They don't work all the time. You join SGA, the flyers, you can put them out. Doesn't always work. You need to be out there in the forefront. So I would say my administration, my executive cabinet, I would want them to all be involved in social media, making videos. We don't utilize videos. More people, I think, watch videos than just scroll through and look at pictures.
Yeah.
If we actually have a video, they'll be more enticed to just sit there and listen to what we have to say. So I think that's how you can make a change in students' minds, as well as it's your other point of bringing students and training them to do what they, training them to like figure out initiatives and what they want. What are their interests? Ask them what do you want to do? What do you want to do for Point Park? What do you like? Those kind of things, and then we look at the concerns that we get from our complaint events and overall in just student government, and we utilize that and put them together. Not always, there's always initiatives for everyone would like to do, but some things are necessary to get done.
Okay, I have a follow-up after that, but I'm going to go to Frankie next about the training senators thing. And we'll just start the outreach, any other plans besides social media, I guess, or the megaphone in Village Park, which I really now want to see. I better see you out there.
Don't worry.
And but are there any other plans that you would have for outreach?
So actually, due to me being an orientation leader, I see that a lot of ideas and a lot of interest comes from orientation itself. So every morning, we do have a bunch of different people come in to give a quick little, basically summary presentation about who they are and what they do. Why can't we get SGA in there? If we get SGA in there, I'm pretty sure that we can get the interest of a bunch of freshmen. Our freshmen are going to be the core of this place. Every year, you need to get more freshmen than you do current students.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to be the fresh and new ideas. So I think orientation is a great idea. Also, with being an orientation leader, how we get the people to be a PA is table. We do fun events when it's warm outside. Where's SGA's fun events? No offense, but the only one that I could think of right now that's going to be fun, PCD. Who's not going to want to come and dunk a cop? Who's not going to want to come and pie a faculty member? These are the things that we need to do in order to get those senators that we want, senators that we need.
This is a question just I'm kind of throwing out there openly for both of you. I guess we'll start with Frankie first. But as something Marc mentioned I thought was interesting is that I do think that with the changing social media dynamic with things like Instagram Reels and TikTok now being so popular, would there be any consideration with either of you to make a new position in SGA on the lines of social media that would be making content on the street type stuff, getting out there with a table and just getting students' concerns in real time?
Can I start this one?
You want to start this one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Kendra
Sure.
brought this up briefly in a few of our executive cabinet meetings a while ago, talking about how we should do this type of stuff. So this has been brought up before, and I completely agree with you. What I was mentioning earlier about expanding our social media team, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Not only having somebody for graphics, but somebody who does go out on the street, literally somebody who goes out and speaks to our students, having a position who is an outreach position. Absolutely, that is super important, and that could definitely even that position could close that gap of transparency and communication.
Okay. What do you see as a realistic? Oh, do you have anything else to add to that? I didn't mean to skip you there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
It's fine. It's fine. I was just saying, like, all right, what's the next question? No, I definitely agree. I think we need to have like a campus outreach or like a campus involvement position that will that will go out there and do these things. Because right now, the person who we did have left us. So who is currently doing two-person's job does not have the time to be able to do this. Now, I'll gladly do it. If I have to, I'll go. What do I gotta do? What song are you listening to? What's your favorite, like, whatever. Like, I will do these things. I don't mind it. I love talking to people. I am probably one of the biggest people person. Is that people person?
Yeah, that's right.
That I kind of know of. Sorry, Marc, but I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm literally everywhere. Everywhere. I would love to do that.
You're everywhere all at once.
I am.
I love that.
All right. Never watched it. What do you see as a realistic goal to get done in your presidential term to help Point Park?
I think one of the realistic goals is definitely doing what I said earlier with orientation. Being able, like over the summer, if I could be able to speak to Gieske and be like, hey, I want SGA to be in one of the morning sessions. I want SGA to be at the check-in route that they have to do in Village Park. Being able to be one of the first faces that students see on campus is what's going to make them remember us. Because I remember my freshman year, I saw Vince Rugani. To this day, Vince is one of the people I still go to and I could still remember. Angelo Gargaro was my advisor, was one of the first faces that I've seen on campus. Again, someone that I trust and someone that I can go to for anything.
Yes.
If we could be that person for these students, I believe that things could go much smoother than what they are right now.
So, but Marc, before we get to this, I have an interesting question for you. Okay, so I think maybe one of the reasons why, and Angelo's great. If Angelo's listening, he's the man. Like he really
absolutely.
is. But do you think maybe one of the reasons why Angelo is able to be one of those faces that people remember, people trust, and they go to, is because he is here for an extended period of time? Is it possible that the turnover rate of SGA being that people are going to eventually graduate in a number of years means that students are going to be faced with new faces? So is there a possible way to sort of bake that trust into the community of the campus so that even if there is a new face, I see SGA and I know that I can trust them?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what we kind of want to work on with the trust of SGA to our students. When you first come together with SGA, you get to know who your president is and then your vice president. It's not until later that you get your exec cab. Once you find out who that president is, you're like, okay, so this is a person I have to go to if I see someone. And then you expand that to the vice president, and then you keep continuing down the line. So then those senators would be a foundation of trust for these certain students who will be here for those few years, who will go up the line to be the next president. It'll be like a chain reaction, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yes, I would agree. And Marc, to be honest, I need to find the question I asked. Yeah, the realistic goal that you want to get done? Sorry, that was they're long winding
You're fine.
questions
You're fine.
here.
I know,
Make sure we're keeping
I know there's a
ourselves on
lot of
track.
initiatives that we've mentioned here, and we're all very passionate about. But I think if it's not transparency, which it is, but something I would really want to focus on more, which would possibly fix that issue, is getting students involved. That is one of my main priorities. They are in their dorms. They are not here on campus. You know, a large majority of our students are commuters.
Yes.
You know, so getting students involved, putting clubs together, not combining organizations, but having group events. Because yes, one club could have 10 members, one club could have 20. Put them together. Let's have a lot of group events. I think that's very important, especially at a time like this where our students are scattered.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have little clubs here and there. Put them together. I don't see why Latinx and chess club can't have an event together. Let's salsa dance and let's play some E4, E5. Let's play some chess moves. You know what I mean? It's yeah, it might be a little goofy, but I think that's important because you can actually learn a lot from other clubs that you don't always go to. So that is my main thing that I think is absolutely realistic as long as we can keep a steady focus and vision for what we want the school to be.
And so as a follow-up question to you then, I think, so I hear the transparency thing getting thrown out a lot. Obviously, I'm a fan of that. I think the majority of people would be a fan of that. The worry that I would have is that we're sort of throwing out a word. You can't really see it. You know, you're kind of throwing out. So is there any concrete steps to get us towards that transparency? I know you all previously mentioned the getting students engaged. I think that would help, but is there anything else that we could do, tangible steps that would give us transparency?
My QR code idea, I think that's huge. I really think that is absolutely necessary because our resources, we have them, but they're scattered. Nobody knows where they are. Let's put it together and let's put them everywhere on campus.
Yeah.
Let's have them everywhere. So a freshman comes up to me, scan that QR code, put something in the search bar.
Yeah.
Or even just scroll through.
It could be a link tree, actually.
Absolutely, it could
And
be,
you
but I'm thinking since there might be a couple things, a longer list, that I might want to make something a little bit more simpler or with a search bar, something nice. We might start out with a link tree at first because the QR code, something nice about it, it can be changed, adapted for the future years. If we have, and God forbid another COVID happens, we can have policies right at the top. Scan the QR code at your nearest, we can have it on every floor.
Yeah.
That is something that is super important that can fix transparency just like that. Nobody checks their email. If they don't check it, fine. Scan the QR code.
Can I mention something
Yeah.
too? So another good thing that would be amazing for is that, again, I wouldn't bring up his name, Vince Rugani. How many times has his position changed? So many. Nobody knows where anything is. I think having that idea would definitely help with some confusion on campus. I don't know where accessibilities is located. I don't know where that went. There's a lot of places on campus that I'm sure a bunch of people don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
With that idea, Mark, I think that's going to eliminate so much confusion, and that is such a great idea.
Yeah, and it would be a vinyl sticker, something nice. With I actually am working with a friend of mine and an animator here, so I'm like working with the students here because I'm like, okay, hey, can you make me something custom, something really unique, and she's drawing it up, and she's extremely talented. So something really nice that represents the school, putting them everywhere. I think that's extremely necessary to fix that issue, and that would also get students involved as well.
Yeah. Okay, now starting with Frankie first on this one, I have been told, and you could confirm this, that we are getting bus passes next semester.
Yes, we are.
Bus passes finally got through. There, like Mark mentioned, there's I think the majority student population on this campus being commuter students. What other steps can we take, and what other sort of policies can we advocate for that would make being on campus and getting to campus easier for them? Like, what are the next steps?
I think that the next steps would be doing more events during the daytime. When commuters go home, they're not going to come back at night for those events. I think that we need to start planning events for during the day. I understand that there are people busy, but there are not everybody has classes at the same time. Like for our event on Wednesday, I'm gonna shout this out. We have a come complain. I know that you can't be there the whole time, but I have nothing, so I'll take it over. Like, there's a lot of people on campus that can help with these events to put them on for the timing that our commuters are going to be on campus. I think that's the next step, is to just start events for our commuters so that they don't have to come back.
Do you think, real quick, and then we'll get over to Mark, do you think there's any, this is more of like maybe a thing that's logistically difficult to do, but is there any world in which SGA tries to advocate for more student parking?
Yes, yes. I was just about to bring this up. You can go first, though.
So SGA definitely could advocate for more student parking. We actually, you might be bringing this up, but I'm sorry.
It's fine.
if you
No,
are.
say it.
But we have a parking lot behind West Penn that not a lot of people use. We have the shuttle parking lot that we're probably not going to be needing next year because of our bus passes. Why can't we use that? I get maybe we'd have to charge something, but at least make it somewhat cheap and let our students be able to park there. Having our students walk, what, is it a mile to Station Square at night? Maybe not a mile.
It's pretty
but
close though. I mean, you're not far off, I'd imagine.
But still, having to walk over, I don't know about you, but I'm scared of the Smithfield Bridge. When I walk over that, I feel it shake. I'm like, I'm going to fall in. But walking over that, especially at night, that's got to be scary for students. So why don't we have, I understand it might be expensive and we don't have the space, but in all reality, we do have the space. We're just not selling it.
And on top of that, on the West Penn parking, why don't we have parking on Boulevard of the Allies? Why not? There's spaces there. Other people use them. Let's have the school buy the spots. Let's use them as Point Park spots for our students. You know, I mean, bus passes are great. I didn't start the whole initiative, but I started to get bus passes last year, and even a little bit before that with Tanya Batista. We worked on that initiative together, and we were talking with Gieske a lot, going back and forth. We made, you know, forms. We asked the student body. You know, I've been working on that initiative for all of last year. That was one of my main things I worked on. And just for some clarity for Point Park students as well, bus passes will come in the fall, and you will get an app. I assume it will be the Port Authority app, and this app will be used to scan on the ticket thing. So you no longer will use your Point Park ID. Neither will other schools. It's a whole new system.
Okay.
So everyone, Duquesne, Pitt, all of the other schools will also have this app. So it'll be just like a simple tap, free. Finally.
And I'm assuming that you're going to sign in with your Point Park email, or you'd sign in with your Duquesne email, or whatever that would be. It's going through the school.
I'm not positive on that yet, but I assume.
So actually, I was one of the trial students for it. So the app is called Ready to Ride, and what you would do is you will sign in with your Point Park email, and then you would create your password, and on the app itself, you will have your ticket that'll say Point Park student, and then you just have to activate it. When you activate it, it's activated for 3 hours at a time, and then again, you could scan it as many times as you need within those 3 hours. And again, you are ready to ride.
It's about time.
Yes.
It's about
Long
time.
waiting.
No, seriously, because I was looking back. The minutes go back all the way to 2008, even before that, of people trying to get bus passes here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And the main issue is students are here first and foremost for the degree. And then they you know, try and serve the other students here if they want to join student government. But then when they're here, they got 4 years, maybe less if they join for only a couple years. And then they're gone. And then the initiative is not picked up.
Right.
I remember Kendra saying to me, you know, it's just funny, you know, that will never get done. You know, roughly around there. You know, that's just, it's unlikely. And then, you know, talks happened, Port Authority changed their mind. I remember Kendra was going to some these Port Authority meetings. I was so happy about that. Eventually things happen, and here we are. It's about time. It's about time. The downtown school has bus passes, the one who probably needs it most.
Yeah, it's actually kind of wild that Pitt got them before we did. But moving on. We'll start with Marc on this one. What was the biggest mistake you've made when delegating work in SGA or to members of your organization, and what did that teach you?
Probably my biggest mistake would be as the President Pro Tempore of the PPT of SGA, which I have really, I've enjoyed my time in this position. During our Student Innovation Committee meetings, I realized after the first couple that sometimes our senators need assistants starting their initiative, starting what they want to do. And I didn't realize that until maybe the second, third week. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's talk. Let's really talk, but together. You know, this is not going to be like I tell you to do something. You know, this is going to be like, let's work together. You know what? This is the person you email for this thing. You know, so probably my main issue was not being as hands-on as I wanted to with the senators. That's something I'm trying to fix, and I think I have fixed as we're starting some more initiatives and getting some stuff done in the SIC committee.
Do you think there's a quick follow-up, and then we'll ask Frankie both of those as well. Do you think there's because I just had my talk with Trevor. He's a very strict guy. He seems like he's also very hands-on. Do you think it's possible that you would need somebody who's maybe a little bit less hands-on, like a balancing out of those tactics, or you think that SGA would actually succeed more if everybody was more hands-on?
Do you mean like a president vice president thing, or an SGA as a whole?
SGA as a whole. I mean, just everybody being more proactive and hands-on with each other, or because I do think in some ways there is something to be said about sort of letting people go off on their own and figure it out, and sort of, throw them into the fire a little bit and let them figure it out. But I think sometimes too much of that can be a bad thing.
As much as I love that, and I think that's really important, just to say, oh gosh, wait, well, let's figure out something else. It's a transparency issue as well. I don't want to just throw that out there. It is. Even for the student government members. When we want to start something or do an initiative, there was an issue in Thayer. I think there was black mold or something. Terrible. Who do you talk to for that? So some of the senators don't know exactly where to go to, and I just have to shout out Nina, our current vice president. Nina has done more work for this organization than I've ever seen in my entire life at Point Park. And we all go to her because she knows where to go for that. We might as well just put Nina on the QR code for like her number. I mean, she knows where to go for everything. So, yeah, I like just to let people go and do their own thing. And I think, if a senator wants to do that, more power to you. Yeah, absolutely. But I think having both of them, having Trevor in that helping out in that role too, is extremely important. Having both sides is extremely important. So just having both visions, I think will help.
Yeah, and asking the question to you, biggest mistake you made in delegating work to members of your organization, and what did you learn from that?
I think that, again, last year being not exactly in Marc's role, but also, being head of the student concern committee, delegating those tasks, because people will definitely pick up things that they want to do when there's, I don't want to say more important, but there's like other tasks that are kind of more important that they should be handling that no one picks up. So then you yourself pick it up, and then before you know it, I was swamped with so much work that I wasn't able to get everything done, and I felt bad. So it would definitely have been me not delegating tasks the right way and taking too much on myself. I was going to answer the second part, but I forgot the question.
Well, as a follow-up, I guess I'm curious about what your tactics would be. Marc seems like he's a little more of a hands-on from what he talked about. Trevor definitely is, and I really like that. Do you sort of follow that similar, very hands-on approach, or do you like to let people sort of go off and do stuff on their own if you trust them?
Honestly, I like to view that I'm a mixture of both. I will definitely be the person for you to come to. You've came to me for questions, and I'm like, hey, just do this. But I will tell people where to go, but if they need that physical help, I will definitely help them. I like to think that I'm a mixture of both attributes, definitely.
And it just depends on the senator, too. Some senators, just might need that extra step, or others might just really want to run with something they're passionate about.
Like Trevor, he'll be like, this is what I want to do. I'll be like, you do whatever you want to do. Trevor is honestly, I'm not trying to put anybody down, but Trevor is definitely one amazing person, and I'm so glad that he's going to be the vice president. He's going to do so well in that position.
I agree.
Okay, let's get some closing statements. We'll start with Marc, and then we'll end with Frankie. Just a summation of your platform, the stuff that sort of makes you different from Frankie, and why people should vote for you.
So, I've been here at this campus for a long time. I think I have a different view than a lot of other students here, where I've seen people come, I've seen people leave, and nothing change. You know, this is not new to just our university, but we need to find a sense of community in the school. I want people to feel like they enjoyed their time here and learned something. You know, learn something from the school. Let's build some school spirit. Let's communicate together. Let's find a way where the administration is held accountable. Because a lot of things that happen, either with the administration or people on the ground here, nothing ever happens from the top on down. It always takes place from everybody coming together and putting pressure on the top, and then them saying, "Oh, well, we thought that was a good idea."
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
bringing people together, really finding a sense here that this is Point Park University. Congratulations, you're here. It's going to be a good time. And I want to make sure that every student feels that way.
Frankie?
What was the question?
Closing
so sorry.
statement, summation of your platform. What sets you apart from Marc, and why people should vote for you?
So there's definitely a gap between our community here on campus, the clubs, and administration as well. And I would want nothing more than to bridge that gap. There needs to be some sort of teamwork that we can come together to create this wonderful community that these students deserve and that these students I know want. There's too many people that just want to give up if something doesn't get done, and I like to view myself as a relentless person. I won't stop. The things that have, no offense, Marc, but the things that I have gone through since I've been here freshman year have been remarkable that I'm even sitting here. I am so glad to be in this position where I can help students and just create that community that they want. I wish I could say that like there's something that sets me apart from Marc, but as we were saying earlier, Marc and I are the same person. We dress the same. We kind of look
Christmas
the
today.
same. We're Christmas time today. We both got the quarter zips. Like, we didn't plan this.
No,
we just showed
not
up
at
like
all,
this.
not at all. Just need some glasses
Yeah.
and get a little
that's
beard.
one thing I'm missing. But I like to think that the only thing that sets us apart is maybe my determination. I know you're very determined, but I like to think that, you know, maybe I'm just a little bit more.
All right. Thank you all for watching. For the Point Park students, make sure you get out there and vote on March 27th for the candidates that have been listed here today. You can find everything SGA does on Instagram at SGA_PPU, and their other information is on PointSync. Thank you so much, both of you, for doing this. It was a great time.
Thank you.
I
Carsen.
appreciate both of you.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Bye, everybody. Have a nice day.